Three life lessons to live by for success. Now, refer back to the last time you sat with your grandparents or someone very mature and older than you. It is very likely that they would have given you some sort of life advice. The issue is that many of these life lessons we only recognize once we reach very far in life and don't have much to achieve. But if you look at many successful people who are young in particular, they have one thing in common, and that is they have learned from the life lessons of other people, whether that be not to make the same mistakes or to do the things they have done. Life lesson number one: live freely and live actively. If you admit it or not, life is a competition. It's a competition of the bravest, fittest, whether that be physically, emotionally, financially, or just mentally. Each phase of life, from childhood to adulthood, requires a different version of us and brings along different competition of its own. Now, back in my childhood, I was with my friends and they were sharing around their packet of chips, but didn't even bother to ask if I wanted chips or not. Now, this is not something to get upset about, but as a child, I was very upset about that, and because I wasn't offered the packet of chips, and whilst everyone else was getting chips. Now, instead of just sitting back and being angry about it, I got up and helped myself to the packet of chips, and it wasn't much of a big deal anymore. Everything went smoothly. I got the chips. As a group of friends, we started chatting, and there was nothing more to be upset about. And this really got me thinking that life is just like this. You won't be spoon fed at every stage of life. It's your duty to get up, be active, be assertive, and be free in your movements. Because when you stop sitting back in your seat and just crying over your situation, only then can you be stoic in the face of life. Life lesson number two: be journey oriented rather than goal oriented. The lesson goes without saying that you should be focused on the journey rather than the goal. Now, I remember back in my sales business, it was an MLM, and the more customers you acquired, the more points and commissions you received. The thing was that I was new to this type of business and just a noob overall. And so I started, and all my focus, my energy was just on acquiring customers. And I wasn't focused on the journey. I wasn't focusing on building relationships with the customers first or truly providing them something of value. And when you become just oriented, that is when you start to feel demotivated and you feel like quitting because the results are not showing up. Take, for example, a sports like NFL. If you were to learn these sports, you wouldn't be taught much about how to do the touchdown, but more about how to get past your opposing players, how to tackle them, and so on. Because you are taught how to stay focused on the journey to the goal rather than just the goal itself. And that leads us on to life lesson number three: live by the system rather than the metric. Now, this saying might seem a bit confusing, but by metrics, I mean the results. So, in simple words, the lesson is just focus on what you're doing rather than the results. Now, this is very applicable to a business setting. For example, if you start a new YouTube channel, it's very easy to just focus on the metric, that is the results, and just keep checking how many views, likes, dislikes you're getting on your video. But the wise thing to do is to just stay on the system, just keep putting out quality content. Because I know many YouTubers, they start out and they become demotivated when they check to see they still have zero views, no subscribers. But this is not only applicable to YouTube, just in life in general. Give the best you have and live by the system, not the metric. If you haven't checked out my last video, be sure to check that out. The link will be in the description, and it's on quality versus quantity. And that is a life lesson on its own. As always, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe and hit the bell icon. And be sure to leave any comments or questions you want me to answer in my next video. Over and